and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm Rebecca Felgate, bringing you a much requested Top 10 Jobs That No Longer Exist Part 2. You guys love Part 1 so much that I thought, you know what, history and learning stuff is so cool, let's learn more about what kinds of jobs people used to have in the past. Coming in at number 10, we have rat catcher. These days people still definitely work in pest control, but their techniques are less rudimentary. Rat catchers were vital in Europe, especially during the infestations of the 1800s. We all know that plagues are largely spread by rats, so it's very important to keep vermin numbers to a minimum. Rat catchers would be employed to catch and kill rats, often trapping them in cages. They were often accompanied by dogs who would help them seek out the vermin. Coming in at number 9, we have ice cutters. Ah, the life before freezers. Can you even imagine? These days, if I wanted some ice, I'd just go fill up my ice tray, pop it in the freezer and wait an hour or so. But it wasn't so easy back in the day. Before public refrigeration, people, usually strong men, used to cut up giant blocks of ice from lakes. Specifically, these were to be used as cooling blocks through the summer months. Being an ice cutter was a very dangerous job. Cutters would risk hypothermia, which they would almost inevitably get if they fell into the cut ice holes. Coming in at number 8, we have milkmen. Or women, because why not? Okay, so some small places in some countries do still have them, but by and large, the job of being a milkman no longer exists. Milkmen were prolific up until around the 1960s. Now this was when their jobs began to wane on account of the modern refrigeration systems. They also began to lose out to the abundant availability of milk in local convenience stores. Milkmen would drive around delivering fresh milk on quaint little carts and deliver them to people's door. I remember there being a milkman in the little village that I grew up in, but I really don't think they have him anymore. Most villages have let their milk people go, and to be honest, in the cities it's like a long past thing. Coming in at number 7, we have a miner's canary. Okay, sure, this isn't a human job, but nobody said it had to be. The hours were rubbish, the pay was non-existent, and the danger levels were high. Canaries were used as an early warning system for miners. Basically, the birds would constantly chirp, but if toxic gases such as methane and carbon monoxide were released, they would be the first to drop. It's pretty sad, isn't it? It's like a test canary. Basically, the miners knew that if the birds stopped chirping, they needed to get out of there immediately. Miners' canaries were used up until the late 80s. Coming in at number 6, we have a lector. Ooh, I like the sound of this job. Lectors were people hired to entertain factory workers during the earlier parts of the Industrial Revolution. Before the days of your favourite podcasts or even the radio, factory workers got pretty bored. To tackle this, workers either clubbed together to hire lectors to read to them, or if they were lucky, their bosses might pay for them. The lectors would read news articles or even popular books. Sometimes though, lectors were concerning to factory owners because they used to read out union material. Coming in at number 5, we have a coal stoker. I mean, who can be bothered to sit there stoking coal for hours on end? What a grueling job. Coal stokers were vital on steam engines and ships in the days before electronic engines. Stoking coal was indeed a grueling and arduous task. Workers would essentially just keep on shoveling coal onto a very, very hot fire. Coming in at number 4, we have a humour drainer. I mean, I know a few modern day humour drainers, but they're just dull people who don't get paid for being dull. Humour drainers actually used to do something entirely different than people who just suck fun out of situations. That's right, back in the days before modern medicine, roughly between the Egyptian and Greek eras, people had humours drained. What are you talking about? Well, doctors believed in 4 balancing elements called humours. These made up the human body, or so they thought. These humours were black bile, yellow bile, phlegm and blood, and when the humours were unbalanced, a person would be ill, according to ye olde doctors anyway. If someone had too much of one humour, they were treated. For example, if they had too much blood, they would have their blood drained. Blech. Coming in at number 3, we have body snatchers. During the Age of Enlightenment, scientists became fascinated with the human body and medical schools wanted them for dissection. The problem was that people were still quite religious and thought that the body was needed in the afterlife. This all meant that bodies were pretty hard to get hold of. Enter the body snatcher. For a fee, they would obtain a body for scientific endeavour, although it was never entirely legal. Coming in at number 2, we have a computer. A computer computer? A job? What are you on, Rebecca? No, seriously, a computer was the name given to people, usually women, who dealt with number data and calculation. The job was very popular between World War I and World War II and required applicants with excellent mental arithmetic skills. Okay, I mean, this one is pretty controversial, and I'm pleased it doesn't exist today because, well, creepy. Coming in at number 1, we have a female masturbator. Back in the Victorian times, those doctor folk, who by the way were all men, were pretty concerned about something that they called female hysteria. Now this was almost entirely a made up thing that was actually often a misdiagnosis of epilepsy, anxiety and stress. Women displaying signs of hysteria were often massaged to bring them to orgasm in the hope of alleviating the symptoms. This is widely acknowledged as the history behind the invention of the vibrator, by the way. So guys, there we have it. That was the top 10 jobs that no longer exist. Which of these would you like to do on this list? Don't say number 1, you pervs. For now, I'm Rebecca Felgate. Let me know if you want a part 3, leave me a comment in the comments section down below, and of course, give my good hard work a thumbs up. Stay subscribed to Most Amazing Top 10 for more lists just like this coming at you every day. And I'll see you next time.